screaming from your soul. We watch it fall. Now you come to walk on. Come on, set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the wind. You can turn my world upside down, a rush like I've not felt before. I can trust myself. I need you to make it turn. I know. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can write our romance. We'll never be the same I could keep the light from turning into darkness. You'd be my escape. What have we been told? Easy to unfold. Future might seem out of reach, but we're getting close. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can write our romance. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can write our romance. We'll never be the same Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Welcome to the Stampede. My name is Legendary Vash, and I'm back to give you the full rundown of tonight's Raw on Netflix. And now, let's chill on Netflix. I messed up. How did I mess the model? Let's Netflix and chill by discussing the highlights. And here are the standout moments of tonight. Did we get a sneak peek on WrestleMania event 41 with Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk? The two babyface, the two over babyface, are we gonna get it? Was it a better build-up than Seth versus CM Punk? Let's talk about it. Or was it the other possibility of the ring general of Gunther embarrassing the punk ass Logan Paul? But we can't forget about Seth freaking Rollins. He did open his show with his model and declared to go after Gunther because Gunther's like, nah, I need you to go after me because you're talking all this shit. But here's what else went down on Raw tonight. JD McDonagh, hope you're feeling better. Great match and performance with Dom versus the War Raiders. Best of recovery. We heard the results. We will definitely talk about that chat. And Xavier Woods was hated by his own family and brought their own shirts for saying, New Day sucks. New Day sucks. And sadly to say, I didn't get to catch the full match of Liv and Raquel versus Naomi and Bianca, but nice for Liv to get that pin over Naomi and go after the tag titles. We predicted that this would be happening, so we would discuss it further. And the last thing, of one of the biggest highlights, is Sami. What did you do? Karrion Kross is getting to you. You attacked Cody and left him in the middle of the ring. Plus, brutal match against Drew McIntyre. But damn, that's 11-0 in singles. Sheesh.
Yeah, and there's also some things that I noticed that I wanted to ask you guys if you notice on tonight's show. One of the first things to point out is something that I've been talking about for quite some time because I love her so much and I really hope she wins the Rumble this weekend. But I don't know if you guys noticed that when it comes to the people participating for the Rumble outside of just the men, Io has been the only one who hasn't said herself that she was going to win the Royal Rumble. And usually when you declare yourself to win the Royal Rumble, usually things don't really work out in your favor because that's usually the curse word. So I'm very curious to see if you guys noticed that yourself. And plus, did you guys like that presentation when it came to that little vignette with Penta? They're giving him a lot of love, so I'm hoping you guys are enjoying that. And when it comes to our questions towards the end, we definitely have some spicy stuff to talk about our boy Penta, but it's really exciting to see that he'll be taking part in the Royal Rumble itself. And this is going to be a really fun show. I am super excited to get into it. So without further ado, guys, let's start the show.
All right, look, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Normally, I'd be here to saying, hey, we have anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love our intro. I love our motto. I love our creed. We gotta dive in because this Raw was pretty good. This Raw was pretty good, all right?
Yeah.
But the ending. We're gonna have to start with this ending. So, grab your steel chairs there for the table, all that wonderful stuff, people. We're brought to you by AniMa W3 Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring. I'm your world champion Walk-ins. We got the legend himself, Vash, up here. We got Drop This Box, Genius of the Mat. I'm sorry. I'm kind of hot-shotting all of this because I need to flippin' talk about this final segment. Holy Christ on a stick, everybody. This is what it's all about. This is when you know you're in Mania season. When that hockey starts flowing. When that aura starts hitting you hard. Like this promo between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. It was intense. Isn't even the correct word to describe it. Like there was a level that like I'm still at a loss for words at it. Like some of the words they were saying to each other, just the emotion that was coming through each other from like Punk from the old elder statesman angle, trying to be like, oh, Cody, you're, kind of burning yourself out a little bit, dude. Like, I'm your friend. You can listen to me. I won't stab you in the back. I'll stab you in the front. But hey, that's besides the point. But like Cody, even though, he had just gotten a haluva kick by Sami, which we'll talk about later, like he's you can tell he's tired and he's starting to kind of feel exactly what Punk was talking about. But like, guys, I know I just jumped the gun with everything, but I need to talk about this. I need to just like process this. Like I've been sitting here just like in silence trying to think about like what I can say about this moment. Like I don't know. Vash, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Hi.
I don't know where to go from here.
So look at that. We have our drop this box that he's showing us his CM Punk merch that he's wearing and the Cody shirt, the WrestleMania from last year, the flag, the finisher story. So while Drop comes back, while Walkers gets his composure, legendary Vash here, that did the Stampede. And as one of your co-hosts, go check out the Twitch VOD that me and Walkers did a sidecast. You would not get much reactions during the segment of the CM Punk Cody. It was more of myself and Walkers immersed, really captivating and observing this conversation between these two guys. And I agree with Watkins. I was even noticing the huffing and puffing from Cody with the way he was just fucking exhausted. Not as him as the real life Cody Rhodes. He probably is exhausted. But the character of Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, is exhausted because, like CM Punk said, we know what this belt does to you. We know that when you are the face of the company, you are the person that puts the blood, sweat, your call time. Every time I hear that, the call time, like, damn, that's my call time for work tomorrow. So it just rings the bells. And knowing what CM Punk said is true, that once you know your call time tomorrow is probably 4 in the morning, you're not going to be sleeping. It's one of your biggest matches of the year, one of your biggest matches of your lifetime as a champion. So CM Punk related to that, and he also brought back highlights of his own career, the 436 days, I believe it was that he said. Right, roughly
something around there,
Sure,
like
cool.
430, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that in those lines of 430 days. He even said that along the way, I lost myself, that I was good, but then it got to me. But I love how he brought it back because during the beginning of that conversation, he said that, hey, all these friends are betraying you, stabbing in the back. At the end of this promo, he said, but I got bad news for you. I'm the one that will be that person to take this belt, but I will not stab you from back. I will be stabbing the knife right in front of you. And I love that. You know why? For 2 things. Because many people has criticized when a babyface versus a babyface, because sometimes the build-up don't work out well. A lot of people wasn't too happy with the Seth Rollins and the CM Punk being built up within 3 weeks to go Raw on Netflix. It felt very undervalued. I get that. But when it comes to this Cody and CM Punk, just for this, 8 minutes, I think it was. And it was such a good, powerful 8 minutes that if this does main event actually happens, I'm okay with it. Because it's 2 over motherfuckers, literally baby faces, Cody and CM Punk. Both of them had their moment to say the promo, and the crowd still loved both of them. Not one or the other was going over the other. And it was beautiful in the way that even I believe the pro wrestling internet even noticed a scene when Doomsday, so I said Doomsday, wrong person, Dark Side.
Yeah, I
Dark
did the same thing.
You did it too? You did it too?
Yeah, I was just like, Doomsday. Oh wait,
maybe Doomsday has done it before because I feel like he has in the comics, so it has happened. So I was in my head, I'm like Doomsday, but hey, Dark Side grabbed Superman in, I believe, in the what movie was it? I think it was All Star Superman, one of those movies, and it was the same way of how CM Punk grabbed Cody, like, get your ass over here. It reminded me of that scene of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, get over here. So it just reminded me of that scene, and it was a good type of show of friendship. It kind of reminded me a bit of Randy Orton, that if because that he's one of my surprises that I'm gonna talk about on Thursday for Grappling of the Week. So he's one of my surprises that he's gonna be on for the Royal Rumble. But right now, CM Punk, he's such a good replacement. If Randy Orton doesn't come back during the Royal Rumble to build something up as well as a surprise appearance, CM Punk right now is doing such a good build up for this one night only. Can't wait to see that if he actually does win. What does the next 2 months of promo will be of how that battle will be? I'm excited. I spoke enough. Drop. I also want to hear what you thought about this because you wasn't here with us, so I know that you have much more to say. So talk to us. Give us dropping this knowledge.
So I really liked this segment itself, and it's another reason why I really enjoyed it last year, because you can get that organic feel when you listen to both of these guys talk in the middle of the ring, because you notice there's no reaction. And when I say that, it's not a reaction in a way where it's like, oh shit, nobody cares. People are there paying attention to what they're saying, and that's something that's really special about wrestling, is the fact that there's these stories being told that really immerses you. It almost makes it feel like you're there in person, like the three of us are there in person witnessing this at like the front row seats in the crowd, listening to both of these guys go back and forth on the mic. And I like the realism that Punk hit with Cody, because that is a very realistic thing, and that is true with what he said. If you're the WWE champion, the world heavyweight champion, whatever championship you have around your waist, you're always going to be the target. Somebody is always going to be knocking on your door wanting to get a crack at that title. So you're always going to be prey to all of those other wrestlers out there when it comes to, oh, I want a title shot with you. I want this title, Cody. So I like how he hit him with that, because Punk has been down that road before. So it makes a lot of sense for him to bring that up. The thing that I also really like about this as well is the fact that there's just so much you can do with this. Like, we haven't really touched the surface with this. Even with last year, we only touched the surface with it. There's so many things these guys can dive into. They can talk about their time away from the company, what they did to rebuild their stuff when it comes to Cody's case, everything that he went through, kind of like what we saw last year. If you wanted to bring some references up from AEW, you could easily bring up something like that to really add that realistic feel to both of their journeys, saying like how we came back, we really tried to push the movement of wrestling, just basically like things along the lines of that. There's just a lot of things that they can take from their personal lives to really take you on a journey with this. And this is the kind of thing that I like about WrestleMania season, is the fact that WWE gives you stuff like this to digest, and just seeing this promo segment between the both of them to close off the show, which I felt like was the right move. It makes me want to see that at Mania. I realize that we have Cody and Cena rumored, and we have Punk and Reigns rumored. But one of the things I did notice, like a lot of people have been downplaying CM Punk lately when it comes to this build.
What?
Yeah.
No, hear me out.
Oh, yeah.
Hear me out. Hear me out. But I do have that clip of Cody saying that on my phone too. But the thing is, the reason why I'm saying that is, if you guys noticed, throughout these segments between various wrestlers giving their thoughts on the Royal Rumble and giving thoughts on the participants of the Rumble, a lot of people keep rubbing it in Punk's face that they main evented a Mania. Sami just did it tonight. He's like, I heard you call me out last week. You were saying that, your level's above me. And then Sami spun it around on Punk, and he's like, you know what? It is true. We are different. Because unlike you, I actually main evented a Mania, which he's referring to Sami and KO against the Usos at WrestleMania 39. They main evented that WrestleMania. And then, Seth does it too. Seth did it with him, saying how him and Cody main evented Mania against Roman and Rock. A lot of people keep throwing it in Punk's face, and they do that for a reason. Because Sami could have easily ignored what Punk said, and he could have just focused on Drew tonight, but he brought it up. And it just makes me feel like, a lot of these people downplaying Punk, it just makes me feel like he's going to get his moment. He's going to get that moment to shine, and it needs to get paid off too, because just like how you're paying off Cody's story and how Sheamus needs to get his story paid off eventually too, you need to pay off that story with Punk. So that would honestly be the best thing. You have Punk come out that following Raw, you have it rubbing them in their face, saying, all these guys coming at me saying that I didn't have a shot to win the big one. I didn't have a shot to get my main event. But look at you now. I finally achieved it. So stuff is obviously planted for a reason when it comes to those kind of things. But it's just this whole entire presentation alone between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. It just felt right. And that's just something that I'm hoping they see the reaction tonight. And we know that they pay attention to it because we see that Triple H is always online. I'm hoping that he looks at the response that the audience had with this segment tonight. And maybe that's something in the cards where they actually start pushing towards that, where it is Cody and Punk, because that would be a huge match. Yeah. That's another match where you have to have it a Mania. That doesn't really feel like a SummerSlam match to me. And yes, I know I said before, you could easily do Roman and Punk at SummerSlam. But the thing is,
I don't mind SummerSlam because I'm going to be going to New York in SummerSlam, so I don't mind it. I would like to get that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Well, beggars can't be choosers, so we're going to have to take what we can. So as much as, I mean, hey, hypothetically, if you get Cody and Punk at Mania, you could easily get Punk and Roman at that SummerSlam too if they decide to venture down that direction. I would say that's also a pretty big moment to see in person too. I'm not downplaying it. That's a huge fucking match, just like this one. But everything about this segment was right.
Oh yeah, and I think my thing with Punk right now is you kind of should do this now.
Yeah.
Or there might be the possibility where you won't be able to do it at all.
Yeah, I know.
So like this kind of ties into like what I was saying like weeks ago with like Dakota Kai winning the women's IC title, for example, because it's like she's so injury prone and she's never won a singles title, and it's best to kind of. Mm-hmm?
Would you be like? Would this be her that she's injured for, or was it more like the drop kick that Zoe did, or is it more?
No, she's injury prone regardless.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
So like that, and that's what I'm trying to get at. It's just like pull the trigger now, or else you won't ever be able to pull the trigger because you never know what's going to happen. Like I mean, just look at tonight, for example. Like we had, we heard Dakota got pulled because of concussion stuff. We saw what happened with JD McDonagh tonight. Like anything can happen in this line of entertainment. And especially with Punk. I mean, he's not getting any younger. Just a year ago, he had that tricep injury that put him on the shelf for a long time and kind of threw a wrench into Mania plans and all that. So it's like, okay, you should pull that trigger now, or again, you won't be able to. Kind of along the same lines of Cena winning 17 as well. Like, this is your year to do that and to pull that trigger. So have him somehow make his way to Gunther and all that, whether it's through the Rumble, whether it's through the Chamber, either way. Like, I think for me, the front two runners for me are Punk and Cena, and it's mainly because of those reasons right there. But like, we'll dive into those more on Thursday when we talk about the Rumble and all that. But like, just like with this promo segment alone, like there's so much to dive into. Like just the idea, because like you always hear these promos where it's like, oh, you're at the top of the mountain, you have no friends, you have nobody, all that stuff, and we've been seeing that throughout this whole year with Cody. I mean, now most of that had to do with him teaming with Roman, all that, but like Roman was also like on that pedestal as well. See, like this is why my brain is so weird and wired right now, because it's like these people that are in this upper echelon of the card of WWE, you can think of them almost like gods in a way. So it's like, okay, you have the champion of Cody and you have the former champion of Roman. They're on this different pedestal. They're on this different level. And it's like everyone's trying to vie for that top spot again, because Seth was up there. Gunther's currently on there. Drew was up there. Back in the day, CM Punk was up there. So like everybody's trying to get back into that level, back into that like level 100 sphere, the level where you can have these badass moments, where you can fight just this one character, this one dude that like keeps beating you down and down, and like you get to a point where like you finally bring out the best in your opponent. Like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of things that like when you're watching anime, for example, like this is the kind of moments where you have like your Goku and Vegeta moments, your Naruto versus Sasuke's, your Deku versus Bakugo's. Like these are the moments that we cherish and love in our professional wrestling, and like this promo showed some of that because like it showed the compassion from Punk. It showed almost this like tired desperation from Cody because like he's so desperate to prove himself. Even though he's WWE champion now he's the face of the company. He still feels like he has to constantly prove himself, and that's why he does all this stuff. That's why he's the first one there. That's why he's the last one out. That's why he's like putting on match after match at house shows, defending his title, or even just doing random tag matches. Like the man is running himself ragged, and Punk is calling that out, and it's gonna come to a point. And I like how Punk 2 kind of did like this kind of parallel, almost like perpendicular, like comparison between like Cody Rhodes being the champion and the next person that's gonna take the title from him. Because like the next contender, the person who will take it, they're moving up, they're gaining their levels, they're going from like level 30 to level 40 to level 50, 60, 70. And Cody, he's just at the max level. He's at level 100. So it's like, yeah, that's great. You're at level 100. But these people are getting stronger. They're catching up to your level. And eventually they're going to get to a point, like even if they're at level 90, you're going to be at like half health. And that level 90 is going to find the weak spot and destroy you and take everything from you. And so that's kind of the chapter we're in right now with Cody Rhodes. And this is what long-term storytelling is. This is exactly what it is. It's living through all those moments. It's living through the constant rematches of Cody and KO or Cody and AJ. It's living through like the tribal combat against Solo Sikoa. It's living through the tag team match with Roman Reigns and all that stuff. Like it's going through all of that stuff to get to a point where it makes it all worthwhile. And the payoff is just, it's so sweet and it tastes so good, and you're just rewarded for being a fan and for like just going through all of that. But like tangent rant over, somebody else tag in, tag out. I'm tagging out, somebody else take it. Like
yeah, I'll tag in.
Shit. Like oh my god.
No, I agree with you like completely. Like you need to capitalize on this now, because who knows when you ever get a chance to do this again. And this is one of those things I like to call a big money match. And yes, Punk and Roman is a big money match. I'm only bringing that up because of the rumors going around. But I just feel like this just hits harder because outside of like the Paul Heyman thing between like Roman and Punk, like what else is there really besides what besides what Punk said all those years ago about, oh, is Roman really fit to be in the Shield? Besides those personal things, like outside of that, I mean, you get these two people in here telling a story in front of us, having us get more invested each time they're like in front of each other. That doesn't happen often. When can I ever tell you that? Oh yeah, we see Cody and Punk together, Mike hand in hand, going back and forth. We don't see it. This was the last time we saw it was last year around this time. So it's been quite time. Yeah. It's been quite some time since we've seen that moment. So you got to capitalize when like the iron's hot. Like when you had LA Knight super hot, you had to capitalize on that, like they did and had him win the United States title last year at SummerSlam against Logan Paul. You have to do this. Give CM Punk his main event. Give him Cody, because this has so much potential to tell a great story. You don't want to do Seth and Punk? Okay, that's fine, because it seems like they're going their separate ways. You could make shitload of fucking money on this. Like, the second I open up my timeline and I see Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 41, that screams Las Vegas. And imagine the press conference and both of those guys are going head to head in front of each other against that hot crowd. Like that just speaks volumes.
The one thing I appreciate about this is that the way they brought a lot of history,
Yeah.
even the
Mhm.
transition, like a perfect thing to end of our segment is one of the things that he said with Cody, like, hey, I remember myself. We used to chase you. The people in the locker room, we used to chase you when even you wasn't in this company. People used to shout your name, and we were still
Yeah.
fucking chasing you. I knew if
Cody
Cody
brought
would
up
have cursed, he
before.
would have said that exactly.
Yeah.
So it just shows how much impactful. And I love how he ended off the last thing to say in end of the segment. But now I'm not chasing you no more. You're chasing me. So that's a beautiful fucking way to end it. And it was just a perfect transition. And then they just stared their faces straight at, and then the show ended. And it was nice because showing that our boy, Cody Rhodes, has been on this journey, like Watkins brought up. He still has to prove himself. He has to be the
Yeah.
workhorse. But it's because who is he inspired by? John Cena, um,
Punk.
Santarmino. No, I say his name wrong.
He's inspired by Punk too, because he even
Oh, Bruno
referenced
Sammartino. Yeah.
Bruno
Thank it.
Sammartino.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, Bruno
Punk,
Santarmino.
Punk's
So
another
like
one because
that's
last year he brought up how he was inspired by the pipe bomb when he had that whole face to face between CM Punk.
Yeah.
That's what really pushed Cody Rhodes to head down that direction that Punk did. That Punk inspired. A lot of
Yeah.
people even come out and said when Punk hit that promo, it really shifted the business and inspired so many people to really go out there and make a name for himself. Look at Matt Cardona.
exactly.
Mhm.
So it just shows the domino effect of what one person action could do and inspire to everyone else. So I don't mind this. This was a beautiful promo. I love it. It really hit the heartstrings.
Expecting it, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Some potential challenges and all that, but like freaking Rollins acting as the host apparently of Monday Night Raw. So all right, cool, neat, excellent. So here we are with Monday Night Rollins. He had to remind himself a little bit because like after his loss to CM Punk, he had to remind himself, okay, who am I? What am I? What even is Seth freaking Rollins? It's somebody who doesn't stay down for anything, and when he is the most focused person of himself. When he is that, no one can touch him. Which he's right about that. Like when he is on it, when he is locked in, nobody's better than Seth Rollins. And out out comes Gunther to kind of respond to this. And I've been saying this for a while because I know this was I think this was like a year ago or maybe like back in SummerSlam or whatever. I want Seth versus Gunther. I think that would be a money match.
yeah.
And like Seth would bring out the absolute best out of Gunther. Sorry, I was checking the stream real quick. It went
Yeah, I believe we're
dark
not
for me, but I
live.
think that was
Should be
not?
live. Because it's still showing on my end.
Unless we're still going.
Yeah, it's showing on my end.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
if
we're
it
good.
is,
Yeah, we're good.
we're back. We're back. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was having some buffering
Yeah, that's
issues.
yeah.
I
The
saw
thing
it,
is,
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah. No, the thing is, like, what my computer, I can only like open up so many things at once. So I opened up the document on my phone just so I can help it better
Mm,
because I
Okay,
don't have like a
gotcha.
super strong computer. It's very strong, but sometimes if I have a lot of shit like
Mhm.
up, it does that kind of stuff. But as long as everything's working, then it should be
Oh.
fine because it's still running on my
Yeah.
end. I still have the green, shows it's live. For podcast is recording, so we still
Yeah,
have the
we're good.
footage.
copy that. So apologies, Chad.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it
This is what
happens.
happens when
Yeah.
we're live. But
That
let's run
happens.
it back to the show. Watkins, we have our actual champion Gunther actually showing up to work with Seth.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and again, I've been craving this match because both of them, especially like Seth, can bring out the best in Gunther, and Gunther needs like not. This isn't really anything bad against like Jay or Damian Priest or even Finn. I mean, because Finn is where he's at in the card right now, but him having somebody like Seth to face and to deal with and to go back and forth with, that can truly make Gunther, like that can propel him into just that extra step, that extra level again. I had spoken about like, oh, the god levels or whatever. Like this, a match with Seth could heavily elevate Gunther. But I'm gonna bring it to you guys. First, I'm gonna bring it to you first, Vash. What do you think about the possibility of having Seth versus Gunther, just in general, let alone at WrestleMania?
So look, chat. You guys have heard my thoughts for our boy, the Ring General Gunther.
Yeah.
Look, he's cool. I like him. When it comes to the other people like Damian Priest, other people I voted for against, Gunther. When it comes to Seth freaking Rollins, I'm gonna also vote against Gunther. If Seth freaking Rollins wins, I'm gonna choose Seth. But when it comes to what Watkins said, I'm not gonna be biased. When it has to be Gunther versus Seth at WrestleMania, Gunther should win because it will actually make him, not saying relevant, but it will make his title reign more relevant than it should have been, and it will make it more impactful when Seth has been avoiding it because Gunther even said it tonight. You've been avoiding me. Where have you been the last few months? Seth didn't have much to say because he's been going against, Damien and these other people with his side missions with Bronson Reed and everyone else, but hasn't gone back straight to the title. So he's been, a bit sidetracked. So one thing that I appreciate about Gunther is that he still makes himself known to the audience and to his opponent that he's still on top. So I appreciate that for Gunther, that he still holds the aura, even though booking wise it looks like it has slack, but he still brings it to the ring and he makes it shown to the audience and the way he has the confidence in his speech very well. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but man, so what about you, Drop? How do you feel about the potential of Seth versus Gunther?
I mean, one thing I will say is like I heard some people like make comments about this even before we had this segment tonight. A lot of people are like Seth and Gunther. First off, I'm not really sure where like the Seth downplay has been coming from because that's honestly a big shock. But I want to reference Chris Van Vliet's interview with Seth Rollins, where when he was talking to him, one of the things that Chris Van Vliet brought up was the kind of opponents that Seth Rollins comes across, and he's like, "Oh, what is like one match you could say is like one of your best or whatever?" And he says, "All of my matches are the best because one of the things I really like about myself is that I can bring the best out of my opponents." Which is a very true statement because Seth Rollins always does that every single time. You saw it with Seth and Cody. You see it with Seth and Drew. You've seen it with Seth and Sami. You saw it with Seth and Punk. There was a lot of moments there where Seth really brings the best out of his opponents. And that's something that Gunther definitely needs because what is the most common complaint that you've seen with Gunther recently? Oh, this reign is lackluster. This isn't what I was really expecting to see from Gunther with this reign, which is true because when Gunther won the title at SummerSlam, which I thought that was the right move, you were expecting things to be put on the next level because you got to look at the future. These are going to be guys that it's going to be help building your brand. These are guys that you're going to have to rely on just in case so-and-so is out. Oh my God, Gunther, he's great. He's good on the mic. He's good on the ring. He can really bring us to a good show. You want people like this that you could rely on in the future, and Seth Rollins is the perfect person to do something like that with. So I am not against this match happening. It makes complete sense. And also, I got a reference last year again, just like how we saw with Cody and Punk. I like how there was a common theme there. You had a moment between Cody and Punk, and then you had a moment between Gunther and Seth Rollins last year. And the funny thing about that, another parallel, now Seth Rollins is chasing after Gunther now because before it was Gunther chasing after him. Now it's Seth Rollins chasing after Gunther, just like how it was Cody chasing after Punk. Now it's Punk chasing after Cody. So the roles are reversed. So I liked that parallel between the both of them, and I liked how that was done tonight. Could have been done by design, but I liked how you had both of them in there because you could really work something out there. And Seth Rollins is a credible name. And if you put him up against somebody like Gunther, I mean, that's just going to elevate Gunther to levels that we haven't seen him that we haven't seen before, and I expect it to be a great match when it happens. Like Gunther's gonna have to pull everything out of his bag to really put the end to Seth Rollins. Do I feel like Rollins will come out as the victor? No. But I feel like with Gunther, this is just going to help his character a lot more, and then a lot of people are going to start getting in that level that we need to see Gunther with. And for all we know, this could have been the beginning of it. This could be potentially Seth Rollins winning the Chamber, because this could be a scenario where you could easily walk into it right after the Chamber. You can even build it up throughout those days past the Rumble, where you could have more interactions between the both of them and everything. But that's something that I'm totally down for. I know you,
Yeah.
but yeah, we will definitely get more in depth with that on Thursday. But I definitely do agree.
Oh,
It's something that I would definitely be down to see. But I know there was another person who made their Raw debut tonight. We should probably talk about him.
Do we have to? Do we have to talk
No
about?
lie.
I mean, I'll
frickin'
No lie, drop.
Logan Paul.
I honestly forgot about him, and even Seth forgot about him too, because he even asked Gunther,
Yeah.
"Who is he? Who is this song to?
Yeah.
Who does this song
It was
belong
funny.
to?"
It was
Yeah.
funny how Gunther played into it too. With like Logan, like don't get me like. Here's what I'll say about Logan Paul, and I'm gonna be honest with this because this is how we are in the podcast. We're honest. Logan Paul's a great heel. He plays the character very well. He has that organic heat because people don't really like him. So what's the best thing to do? You play into it. And you have that organic heat that he was getting. You couldn't even hear him on the mic. He tried talking. You couldn't hear a fucking thing that came out of his mouth. So Logan Paul knows the business, and he knows that, okay, I'm this heel character. And he even mentioned before in his podcast he wanted to play as a heel character because it just fits him a lot more. And you could really see him playing into it. Even with the what chance, he really plays into it. Even doing like that, the Hulk Hogan, where he's trying to listen to the crowd and everything. He really plays into it. I can give him a lot of credit for that. And also, I got to give him credit for his ability in the ring as well. He is a great wrestler. He does a lot of crazy stuff in the ring. I can't lie to you and say that if Logan Paul were to face Gunther one day at like a Saudi event or something along the lines of that, I can't really say no to that because you have Logan Paul as like a great performer. I mean, if you guys look at that springboard corkscrew that he did, or whatever it was, towards LA Knight last year, that was crazy. And he said he's only doing that move once. He's never going to do it again, but that's one thing I got to give him credit for. I can't lie and just say, oh, because he's hated online, I don't want to see him on television or everything. He does everything right to fit that package, and I got to give him credit for that at least.
I agree with that. That gives it the good flowers. You know, the flowers are being due towards the guy's skill sets. Like, even though he says he's great at everything he do, I'm like, I don't know you enough to agree to that. But I can agree that you are good at pro wrestling. What you did last year with Ricochet, we're not getting anything like that no more this year because, you know, Ricochet's not with us in the company. So with Ricochet and Logan Paul, what you guys did last year, I'm curious to see what Logan Paul will be doing this year, and he has a secret idea or he knows how he's going to win it. And I love how Gunther's like, yo, Seth, you know what? Change my mind. I want to embarrass this fool. Bring your ass and win.
Happening.
I want to embarrass your fool. So I really appreciate Gunther even getting into it, smiling, laughing. I honestly thought he was gonna do a clothesline to Logan Paul as well. I thought it was gonna happen, but it didn't. But I really appreciate just to see Gunther enjoy himself as well. Not like he said, like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna embarrass you as a little kid." So I really enjoyed that as much. But Marcus, how did you feel about the megastar, the superstar, the Maverick?
Fuck him. Fuck him.
Awesome, great.
but seriously, it's just like, okay, as much as I do want to see Gunther just absolutely batter, decimate, destroy Logan Paul, part of me doesn't want that at Mania just because and this is just a personal thing, just how I view WrestleMania and all that. I would rather that not happen there, but I mean, the match will be good regardless for all the reasons that Drop said, because that's the thing. Like, and I think I've gone on record on the show, but I'll just say it again. I think Logan Paul is in the correct spot for him as a career and all that, because I think the structure of WWE, and I think just like having something like that is good for somebody like him, so that way he's not going into a forest
Yeah.
like he did one time, so it's just like he's in a good spot where like he can thrive, and he can really play on the fact that people just don't really like him, because he's kind of a douche.
Yeah.
And he can play on that, and he can just be good at that.
Walker's quick question. You said he's kinda a douche. Kinda?
Look.
God forbid
that's
certain invisible man brings up the forest incident.
I know, right? Do.
That could be
That
happening.
match will be fun.
But other than
Yeah.
that, about the Seth Rollins and the Gunther, the ring general, and Logan Paul, I don't got nothing else to say. It was a good segment. I'm glad, with all jokes aside about Logan Paul, I'm glad that he could stand on his 2 feet tall and be in the ring with Seth Rollins and Gunther, and he didn't feel out of place. A lot of celebrities will feel out of place, like a few that maybe that we will mention during the quickfire, or I'll mention one, Kai Sena, I believe.
Kai
I'm not
Cenat?
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm not good at pronouncing his last name, but Kai. He was a bit like, he was very proud of him. Very congrats to like a New York, Bronx person. Congrats to him. But he did seem a bit out of place. But it's a lot of new energy. All this is hard to get used to. So it could tell when a celebrity is not used to this type of area crowd. But for Logan Paul, really good to see him, hold his own with Gunther and Seth freaking Rollins, with them having the prior experience they have. So that is my positive about Logan Paul.
Okay, but at the end of the day, fuck him.
Yes.
At the end of the day, fuck him. All right. All right, cool. Well, let's just kind of go. We'll keep going here. We got our mid-card stories to kind of go into. Our first one we're going to talk about, we had our World Tag Team titles on the line. The War Raiders taking on the Judgment Day, represented by Dirty Ass Dom and JD McDonagh. Now, the match was great. The match was cool. Very hard-hitting action. A lot of it was mainly towards the War Raiders, like I would say probably 70-30 towards the War Raiders in terms of who had control over the match.
I was going to give it 65-35, but I'm okay with yours. Your ratio is good too.
Mm-hmm. But Carlito coming out for the interference, you almost thought they had it at one point, after the moonsault, after the frog splash and all that, but like War Raiders weren't going to lose here, so they end up winning. But like, that's not really the talking point from this match. The biggest talking
Who's
point,
the MVP? Who's the MVP, Watkins?
The JD McDonagh is the MVP of this match. Why? Well, he did this. He had this like big moonsault to the outside towards Eric, I believe, and the man bounced. He had his head bounce from that hard announce table that they have now. And this man continued the match. Like, you see throughout the match, like, Dom checking on him, the ref checking on him, multiple. There was one time I heard the ref say, get out of the ring. Like, I heard the ref say that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I heard him say that. And I believe Ivar, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if anybody noticed it, but I believe Ivar was trying to push also JD off the ring after he did a move. I believe he did a drop knee to him. He kind of pushed JD like, okay, I'm a drop kick you in the face. Now I'm gonna push you down outside of the ring. It was just funny how like inorganic it was, but they was trying to do the best way they can, because it reminded me of that one time when Triple H, or I believe it was Triple H, had he tore his hamstring or his quad in the middle of the match, and he's told, I believe he was versing Kurt Angle, or I forgot who he was versing, and he told him, we gotta wrap it up. I can't move. He's like, what happened? I think I pulled something, and I don't know which one, but it's on my leg. let's just wrap it up. Let's do this. Let's do the movesets. And I was surprised how long they were still pushing this match with JD. I gotta give props to what Walken said. JD was the MVP of this match. If anything, when it comes to in ring, JD was the MVP of the night for me. JD, I was always a JD fan. A big thanks to Drop because I was watching NXT prior, so I saw JD before he got moved up to Raw, and seeing JD the character of how good was in the promo with Dragon Lee and a few other clips I've seen from him in the NXT UK. JD was awesome in this, and he was a fucking trooper. The way he just did a ricochet, the pun intended, against the table. Now it begs the question: are they gonna still keep this table, or are they gonna make it more softer? Because that's questionable.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
Well,
the way
I mean,
he
that-
ricocheted
that's
the
like-
table was insane.
Yeah,
I mean that's just like what I was saying earlier. It's just like, anything can happen. So it's like,
Exactly.
even if they had the other table, like the same thing would have happened. If not worse off and all that.
Because-
sorry about that, Drop. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it was kind of similar to what happened to Carrie Zane with her eye at the same time on that table, right, Drop?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that table because I think they were still on USA when that incident happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one definitely seems like a harder table because even Jacob Fatu couldn't even do a Samoan drop and put Braun through it.
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot more durable this time. But like the thing about JD is like he is very underrated. Like a lot of people see him as a joke just based on how he's shown on television. But he is a very underrated because I remember that one match he had on NXT before he left for the main roster when he had that match with Dragon Lee. That I won for a good 23 to 25 minutes. That was a very good match
Really
between
good.
the both of them. So one of the things I'm hoping, because we obviously know that the Judgment Day is going to be breaking up soon. There's like a whole bunch of signs everywhere. Want to be surprised in the slightest if we see the early stages of it with Finn Balor. I could definitely see Finn Balor making his return this weekend during the Royal Rumble. You're probably usually when those people are away, they're usually in the process of character changes. So I want to be surprised in the slightest if you see like the early stages of that with Finn Balor. And if that is the case, I mean, thank you, because there was a report that came out a little while ago about Finn Balor getting a new character change. But I'm hoping, the reason why I brought that up is I'm hoping we could see more of this with JD. Because JD deserves to get this
He does.
treatment. I remember they tried doing something with him and Dolph that didn't really go anywhere when he came up in the main roster. So I'm really hoping that things do turn out in his favor so people can actually see JD for who he is. But this was a great match between the War Raiders and Dom and JD. Like, this is something that I expect out of tag team wrestling. This is the kind of rhythm that I want to see with tag team wrestling. And we're going to get something like that this weekend because I definitely expect the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY to deliver because it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, and that has a lot of history to be bangers. But this is what tag team wrestling needs to be. We all love tag team wrestling, so the boys definitely delivered tonight. Even Dom was doing pretty good in this match as well when it came to the kind of things that he was doing throughout the match itself. So I was very satisfied with what I saw tonight. I'm hoping he's okay, hoping it isn't anything too serious. I did see a picture online when he was walking in the back. He fell to the floor, so you probably had to take him in that little area they usually have the wrestlers just to check on them, see if they're okay. Hopefully it isn't anything serious because
Some people in the back have been giving him his flowers. So, I think it was Gregory Helms. He did say that he was a freaking trooper and all that.
Hell yeah!
It seems like things might be on the good end.
Oh, good.
Hopefully,
good.
This might end up being a blessing in disguise too. Like you guys, were saying, this might be something.
I think I even saw a wrestler
propel him.
I think a wrestler.
Yeah,
I think there was another wrestler that gave him his flowers too. I don't know if it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was. It might.
Chad Gable. It was Chad Gable.
Yeah, Chad Gable. Yep.
It was Chad Gable. He said, JD McDonagh is a good wrestler or a great wrestler or he's or something like that. I saw a tweet of Chad Gable, and I do agree. This might be a blessing in disguise, like Watkins brought up, because if he is in good health, hopefully and thankfully that he just needs a day or two to recover if he has a concussion or if he has, probably a broken rib or just, in
Yeah.
pain, just chest pain, back pain, bro probably needs to go to, get some massage. But the reason I'm saying all that is because if this is a blessing in disguise and he is in good health, this man could probably just just one little nice repercussion that he just got, and he put on a fucking show. MVP. The crowd was saying this is awesome. The crowd even clapped when JD got back up. The crowd was loving them. It's because that means we might get a good push for JD, and the upper brass probably love this. That hey, JD, you was a trooper. We appreciate it. Are you good? How's your health, man? What happened? So probably this will be the next one up and coming thing for JD. So I hope in the next coming months something changes. And I do agree. I also told Walkers during the sidecast that JD and Dom seemingly they work better in a tag team chemistry, much better than Dom and Finn. I'm sorry, than JD and Finn. Because from what I could tell, I enjoy the dynamic more of Dom and JD than JD and Finn.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah, hopefully JD's fine after all this again, because like that is a scary injury to happen. Um Especially with like things coming out about like, CT and all that stuff. So hopefully you are a-okay, JD, but yeah, again, great match. Hopefully this is a good step forward in the right direction for the Raw tag team division as well. I mean, we saw A-Town Down Under is now on Raw, and Creed's, I guess, American Made is gonna stay on Raw, which
I
okay,
thought they're going to
cool.
SmackDown. Like, yo, go to
I was
SmackDown.
Yeah,
hoping
Go.
see,
so.
see
Go.
that's
Yeah,
the thing. Like, I'm really wondering when this whole trade window is like wrapping up. Like, realistically, you think it would be like the deadline would be around Royal Rumble? So I'm kind of
Well,
hoping we
yeah,
get.
I did see something about that saying that this weekend is gonna be the close of that.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I just can't wait for us to
Yeah,
talk about American Made during the quick fire because I have quick thoughts about that. Pun intended for
yeah,
that. So I can't wait to see how or does anybody care. So I can't wait.
exactly.
Hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, tag team division needs a good shot in the butt for for the foreseeable future. But speaking of tag teams and speaking of people who need a shot in the butt, we had Rey Mysterio taking on Xavier Woods in singles competition tonight. Now he had a little bit of a backstage segment with Kathy Kelly wondering who the New Day were talking about, and she kept naming like different names and all that of like people that are big on Raw, and even though the New Day was trying to talk about themselves, I just thought that was a little funny. But we get a nice little seed planted, being like, oh, Xavier Woods has a bunch of these seats saved in the front row for his family. They're gonna come up and watch him wrestle and all that, and he has this match with Ray, which it's good. It's fine. Nothing to really write home about, except he has a new tattoo. I'm pretty sure it's new because Xavier Woods had the little Majin
Yes.
symbol on his shoulder, which
Oh,
I don't think he's had before.
yeah.
But I
I
wonder
don't
if
know.
that's like if that is like a show tattoo just to have it during the Raw shows just to show the like the symbolism, or is this an actual permanent tattoo that they did
Mhm.
more because they're doing this turn? So is it something they did? Because Watkins also noticed a new tattoo on Kofi's bicep, right, Watkins?
Well, it was Xavier's bicep because like he did this flexing, and I don't know if he's had it before, but it was the King Kai symbol on his
Mm.
bicep, like on the inside of his bicep. So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, is that new too? Because like I just don't remember him having those tattoos or anything.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I mean, it fits New Day because they've done Dragon Ball stuff in the
Yeah,
past.
it does.
But yeah, so the match is fine, but the biggest thing from this match is when Woods' family finally arrive. They show up to the front, and he's just like, where have you guys been? Buh, 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 buh." And they take off their jackets to show brand new T-shirts that you can buy now on WWEshop.com that say "New Day sucks."
Uh, Old
So
Weebs.
I I love it. I love it. Just the reveal of it,
Also, we
and
also have
just
Quavo as well with them as well, which I'm
mhm,
like, why? But sure, it makes
why
somehow
not?
sense to the story. Yeah, like why not? Let's just add him in there. And I just love
Yeah.
how, spoiler, like our boy Paul Heyman was saying, we had Rey Mysterio win the match, of course, and then he goes to the family. He like, yo, can I wear the shirt real quick? He puts the shirt on and just with the crowd, he like, oh shit, I'm tired, and just wears the shirt of the New Day sucks. Because the reason I brought up the Ray and saying he's tired is because I brought this up to Walkers. I want to ask this question to you, Drop. Do you think Rey Mysterio is actually showing his age more in his current or recent matches? Because to me, I felt that Rey Mysterio was a bit slow in this match. Not as a bad thing, because I cannot take that away from Rey Mysterio, but his age is starting to show a bit. Whenever he gets up to the top rope, he is a bit slower. Comparing to another type of lucha libre of Penta, who is half the age or a bit less than that. So and he's more up in par in the lucha libre. So for Ray, not saying that I don't want to see him on screen no more, but I'm starting to see his age a bit more than usual.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely see that because I actually thought after this his previous contract before he signed this one, I actually thought he was done. But seems like he's gonna be in here a little bit longer. Probably gonna try to help build up
Mhm.
Dragon Lee and Penta. So it's like, of course, Ray Phoenix when he comes over too. So it's like I can definitely see that. I mean, he can only do whatever he can for so long. I know for sure Rey Mysterio doesn't do as much as they used to back then, but he still does those spots that gets a good reaction out of the crowd. That's one thing for sure. But another thing I also actually keep in mind as well is that he did have like stem cells a couple months
Yes,
ago
he did.
put into his
Yeah.
body. So that's also helped him move around a lot more. So I guess like the best answer I can really give you is like maybe at times I can tell, but for the most part, I felt like those stem cells really helped amped him up a little bit more. Because if he
Mhm.
didn't have the stem cells, it would probably be a little bit more noticeable. But it seems like with the stem cells that he has right now, he's able to, I wouldn't say move around as much as he did when he was younger, but he could still perform at his best at this current age, which is, something we have to appreciate for as long as we
Yeah,
have
oh,
it.
yeah.
Age will catch up to you,
Yeah,
people.
yeah, and that's just the thing. It's just like it's not any big slight to Ray because like the fact that he can move like he does still is remarkable in its own right. It's just
Amen.
yeah, it just is noticeable that like it is just a little bit slower. It's kind of comparable to like if you're going 55 miles down the road compared to like going 50 miles down the road. Like it's slower, but it's not like too much slower if that makes sense.
I see the vision.
But yeah, again, like the match was fine. I mean, yeah, it was more of the angle with
Correct.
Xavier Woods' family coming in and just continuing the whole plot of everybody hates to do today. Like to the point where even freaking Ludwig Kaiser is giving
Yeah.
you a nasty look and you're a heel. Like because we had him, come up to Pete Dunne and be like, "Oh, we should show them what
Butch.
for." Blah blah blah. Like, yeah, well, Butch, Pete Dunne, tomato, tomato. But the fact that you have somebody as just like slimy and diabolical, excuse me, as Ludwig Kaiser looking at you in disgust, like that's just sad. That's just sad. That's like Frieza looking at you and being like, "Oh wow, you're kind of fucked up. Hmm, I'm not gonna mess with you." Like it's on that kind of level. Like what? You have some heat backstage then in kayfabe, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that was basically that segment. Again, more of a segment than a match and all that. So moving right along, we had women's tag team action tonight. We had Bianca Belair and Naomi, our women's tag team champions, taking on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, gonna point this out too. This is the night before they have a title defense against Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson tomorrow on NXT. But this match was fine as well.
Yep.
Kind of similar to the World Tag Team match we got earlier, where like the champs were mainly on the upper end of things, kind of keeping control of the match. Raquel, you still continue to fail as a bodyguard, but that's besides the point.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Please just change the character. Throw the character out the window that she's a bodyguard. Carry her back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't care. It doesn't work. And also, most bodyguards, people need to understand, most bodyguard security guards don't smile at your client and it's all buddy and friendly. Like usually when you have a bodyguard, they're more stoic, they're more serious, they're more ready to put the hammer of justice down. Raquel, you don't give me the energy. Not once. Not once. Not once.
I mean, you don't always have to be stoic. You can still, I mean, because look at Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, because like Piper's a better
Way better.
bodyguard for Chelsea Green. Granted, they're more of like a comedic duo, so it's kind of a different dynamic with them.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, with Raquel, it's more like you're trying to do a little bit more of a serious thing. Like, yeah, you and Liv are friends and all that, so it's more like you're not like a hired gun. You're more of like, hey, I'm gonna protect my friend and all that stuff. But like, I think I do get what you're saying with that though. It's just like maybe act a little more serious at times. Which I mean, and don't get me wrong, this isn't against anything with her in-ring work. Because like in-ring, Raquel was fine tonight.
Yes.
It's just the whole character aspect of that. But after a distraction from dirty ass Dom coming out, kind of doing double duty tonight, it's enough for Liv and Raquel to get the win. After some, not really a lot of shenanigans, because Raquel does do like that spine buster thing to the hardest part of the ring on Naomi, and that's enough for Liv to get the awkward pin. It was
Yeah,
kind of
very
awkward,
awkward.
in a way.
Very awkward.
But yeah, they pinned the tag champions, which kind of leads credence to the report I saw earlier today. And a drop I think you and I briefly talked about earlier too, about how they're going to be pushing Liv and Raquel in the tag division. So what do we think about that prospect? Because especially with a tag team title defense tomorrow on NXT.
So my whole entire thought process on that is, I mean, it makes sense because realistically, Liv doesn't really fit in either world title picture when it comes to Tiffany and Rhea Ripley. There's just other people coming after both of them right now. Like Tiffany Stratton has Charlotte, and I'm still gonna stick to my guns and say Rhea has Io at WrestleMania. So it's like they still have like other fish to fry. So that's honestly the only safe spot they can really put them. And I know some Liv fans are upset because she's not really in the main event scene, but what can you really do with her, really? Like, if you want her to have, like, some sort of significance with Liv Morgan on television, you can't be greedy and always want her going after this world title and that world title. She got a pretty good reign compared to her first one. She had a good run with the belt. So, I mean, if you want to do something with her at the very least, this is what you can do with that. And another thing I also realized that I saw earlier today is that Liv also has a match with Bianca on Friday as well. A one-on-one match between the both of them. So when it comes to like that whole match going on tomorrow, I do expect them to retain, because I'm going to come out and say it. The only time that Bianca and Naomi are going to lose those titles is once Jade factors into the picture again. You can't have those titles taken off of them without her taking part in any of that. It's kind of like when you have the bloodline, you can't really have those really big angles without Roman Reigns being there. Not saying that Roman and Jade are the same person, but Jade's a special piece of the three of them when it comes to the big three that they refer themselves to be. So it's like you can't really take the titles off of them before she gets there. So I expect them to retain on Friday. I mean, I know I expect them to retain tomorrow. Well, for NXT later today, I expect them to retain. And when it comes to that match on Friday, I mean, Liv technically already can get a title shot for them since she pinned Naomi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
easy win.
I mean, I could see Bianca winning that match on Friday, which, I mean, hey, you win that match on Friday, hopefully doesn't have you win the Rumble. But it's like better than nothing. I mean, would you rather them be feuding with like nobody at all? Like just random
Yeah.
Judgment Day shenanigans in the back, just little vignettes and stuff playing every week. I mean, at least they're doing
Yeah.
something with her. It's better than nothing. So I'm okay
Yeah.
with it.
Plus, there's history for them to get the tag titles back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they dropped them because Liv got injured.
Yep, that is true.
Like, there's credence for them to get those titles back and, maybe do a little bit more with them. But, I mean, that just gets into the topic of the women's tag team division, which, is hit or miss at times.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting a title change at some point from them, whether it's because Jade gets involved or it's just how it played out tonight and all that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to a mix up within the women's tag team division because it kind of desperately needs
Yeah.
one.
With teams that actually
yeah.
need to be put in there, like not an Io
Exactly.
Sky or an Asuka, because if it's up
That's
to
gonna be
me,
separate.
if it's up to me, yeah, they're better off as single pieces, especially
Mhm.
since we saw reports that they had plans with Asuka, but they don't really know when she's coming back. So obviously we'll talk a little bit more about Io a little bit later once we do our little quick fire stuff. Just give a little
Yeah.
more insight on that. But it's like when it comes to this whole tag division, if they are gonna go through with it with Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez moving forward, build tag teams that matter, not just random
Mhm.
pairings. Like actually build legit tag teams and actually make
Yeah.
it feel special. And that's just me hoping that happens. So far, we haven't really been successful with that, but that's something you can only hope that they could do.
Yeah. And if you're gonna do the random people in a tag team, build them up first before they go for the titles. Like build them up a little bit more so that way they're at least a little bit more credible and it's not just we're throwing them together just to throw them together to go right for the titles and all that. So
When it
yeah.
comes to me, I can't really add too much comments. So, Chad, that's why I'm
Mhm.
staying quiet in this. Because if you saw the sidecast, your boy Vash literally disappeared at the start of the match and then returned 30 seconds before the match ended.
Yeah.
So, it
Yeah,
was just bad timing.
Yeah, you had great timing with it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, bad timing in the review portion of our show. I didn't have time to
Mhm.
rewatch the match and then talk about it. But hey, we're
Yeah.
here. I hear where they're coming from. I agree where Walker's and Drop is coming from. They bring some good points when it comes to
Yeah.
the tag team division. One thing I do hope, though, is that if Raquel and Liv, the burp was not for dramatic effect, by the way. That just happened, but it works out. One thing I do hope for Liv and Raquel in this tag team, if they actually do get the title sometime in the future, hopefully this title run of Liv and Raquel actually is more successful than the first one. Because for those that don't know, the tag titles are a curse. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
they are cursed. So hopefully
So that's all I
nobody
got.
gets injured soon.
So that's all I got on my end about this segment because your boy Vash totally missed this match, so I can't add anything other than I do agree with what Walker's brought up. Very fucking awkward the way Liv won against Naomi, like just putting the hand and the ref try to understand if that was a pin or not, and then slide it around 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, interesting. Could have done it
Yeah.
better, but very awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever on that part. So moving right along to the last match we have to talk about tonight. Our main event match was Sami Zayn taking on Drew McIntyre. Now, a few segments go into this. So first of all, some quick, backstage segments. We already mentioned the thing about Sami and Punk, him going up to him and being like, "Hey, I've main evented at WrestleMania. You go away. We're not on the same level." Blah blah blah. So we already mentioned that. Sami and Seth kind of confronted each other. Was it a mistake that Sami hit him with a hell of a kick, or was it on purpose? Seth is just like, okay, you know what? The first one was a mistake, but if it happens again, I'm gonna question you because people are already questioning you because of the whole Roman stuff. So I like how we're acknowledging the whole teaming with Roman thing when it comes to Sami Zayn as well, especially with like what Sami had to do to get out of the bloodline and how that ended. So that's most of the backstage stuff there. This match, before it started, we had Paul Heyman come out and basically hyped up Roman Reigns for the Rumble and all that stuff and revealed the official cover for WWE 2K25. Now, we're supposed to be getting more information, I mean, at time of the live stream right now, later on today. So stay tuned because I might have something just a little short for y'all, depending on what information we get out of that for 2K25 because they're hyping it up pretty big. But out comes Drew to kind of hype himself up for this. So, Drop, what'd you think of this segment with Drew talking with Paul? Because we've never really gotten much of Drew and Paul talking, and
No.
it's really just like Drew kind of trying to somewhat intimidate Paul, but not towards Roman because he's still obsessed with CM Punk. I mean, he'll deal with Roman when he does, but he's still obsessed with CM Punk. But what do you think about this segment, just mainly with Paul Heyman here?
I really liked it because, well,
Mhm.
obviously we were waiting to see what was going to go on with the game. We didn't know what the game cover looked like because Steam did leak everything when it
Mhm.
came to character models, what the cover was going to be, and everything along the lines of that. But I do like how he finally got it, officially shown off to people. It is a big moment. It kind of reminded me like back when CM Punk had that whole entire reveal when he was on the cover where they dropped it down and they showed CM Punk. That was a nice
Oh yeah.
callback right there. Not sure if that was done by design. Doesn't really have to, but it was really nice to
Mhm.
see how Paul Heyman was building up Roman Reigns. And it looks pretty cool. It looks like we're going to be following like Roman Reigns' whole journey when he first came
Mhm.
back. He became the tribal chief. We're going to see all these different kinds of moments with him throughout the years. Not entirely sure if we're really going to get Edge and Bryan in there when he had that match.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's really nice that we finally had things shown off there. But when it comes to Drew and Paul Heyman, I really like that whole moment between them because Drew was right, He got rid of Brock Lesnar, and after that, Paul Heyman migrated to Roman Reigns. He picked him up and he built him to be the person that we know him to be today. So Drew was the catalyst to that. And I
Mhm.
like how Drew is just super tied with Roman, which just makes me think in the back of my head, because a lot of people are thinking Roman Reigns is obviously not winning the Royal Rumble. But a lot of
No.
people are thinking in the back of their heads, like, who's going to be the person who knock Roman Reigns out of the Royal Rumble? Because it could be many people. It could be Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins made it pretty apparent earlier in the night that, especially Roman Reigns, I'm going to throw over the rope. It could
Yeah.
be somebody like Punk, which we know that could potentially build a match with them at Mania if they decide to go down that direction. And also all the history
Mhm.
of Heyman and just basically everything, all the history with Punk and Roman there, or it could be Drew McIntyre. And I think that's the one I'm betting towards because what I would
Yes.
like, and I feel like it would be very poetic, like Drew said it tonight, it would be very poetic just by him being there. I feel like it'd be
Mhm.
very poetic if Drew took out Roman Reigns during the Royal Rumble, hits him with a Claymore, Roman goes over the rope or whatever, because that could be Drew taking Roman's opportunity to get the title again because he has the Ula Fala again. So now he has
Mhm.
that in his possession. And then the next step was to get back at Cody Rhodes to get the title that he wants back. He took that away from Drew when Drew had that match with him all those years ago, and Drew's been torn up about it ever since then. So Drew
Mhm.
could easily take out Roman there. And you could
Yeah.
build up some tension there. I feel like Drew makes the perfect sense. Drew's definitely one of them I expect to be in a Final Four or Final Five at the very least. I'd say Final Four personally,
Mhm.
because I'm imagining in my head it's probably going to be Roman, Cena, Punk, and Drew. You could
Yeah.
easily play
And
into
like,
that.
yeah, cause that's the thing. Cause like, when Drew won the Rumble, and the last time Roman was in a Rumble,
Oh yeah,
like Drew threw him out, and that's how Drew won that match and all that. So like,
yeah.
and I could feel just like the little bit of catharsis, or like, I guess, like, kind of closing a bit of Drew's chapter, or like a chapter with Roman, because, like, again, Roman screwed over Drew countless times when he
Yeah.
was champion and all that. So, like, for Drew to throw him out of the Rumble, that would just be just oh so sweet for him and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how he's like playing upon this, and I like how he, like, in his own twisted ways, just like, in a way, I was kind of the catalyst for Roman right now. Just as how you described and how he described and all that. And yeah, I mean, I really like this segment, and I like how too, like, even though Paul was just kind of, because, like, he's not a very confrontational kind of person, unless he kind of knows he can win. But like here we're seeing like that confident Paul Heyman, where it's just like, you're crowding me right now. And like when Drew told him to like give the message to his boy, like he smiled and been like, all right, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell him the message. Even though Drew was talking about Punk, like Heyman still was just like, yeah. Like Heyman's cocky again. Like he's feeling confident and just ready to see where everything goes. But drop, now that you're not drop. Sorry, long day, long night, and all that. Vash, now that you're back, what do you think of just like the Paul Heyman Drew segment of this before this match?
So, quick thing, because this Sami to Punk, I love. Quick, small, high and by type of conversation. I love what Sammy said towards Punk, saying that you said we're not on the same level, but yeah, you're right. I did main event WrestleMania. You
Mhm.
didn't. Beautiful line, very smooth. I love what happened with Sammy and Seth. They cross path. I love how Seth like, hey, makes it questionable. And I love how in commentary tonight with Pat McAfee, one time, okay, two time, not coincidence. Reminds me of the guy of in The Incredibles when he screams that coincidence not.
Mm.
Sammy, people sort of question your ethics. Karrion Kross may be right because you did cross path with Karrion Kross, and Sammy's like, yo, I don't want to deal with your bullshit. I'm not here for it. Karrion Kross was instigating, like Watkins said during the sidecast, and he's bringing true facts.
Mhm.
When it comes to the Paul Heyman stuff, congrats to Roman. Watkins brought up the information during the sidecast. This is the second cover for Roman Reigns. Congrats to you, my man. You have a cover as well. I did mention that we see Paul Heyman in the corner, looking all type
Hmm.
of evil and a creep. So that's pretty cool to him. When it comes to
Yeah.
Drew coming out, I have to appreciate that he comes. He is relevant for the past 5 years, and as much as people don't want to give him credit for things, even the crowd. By the way, yeah, assholes. How this man Drew telling that he started all this, and he's given the relevance to all this, and yeah, still calling out OTC, yeah, still calling out Roman in front of Drew. I hope like he doesn't take it to heart. I hope that is all
No,
to the character as well.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, exactly, like what Drop said, like hopefully he's playing it all to the character very well. But when it comes to Drew and Paul, Watkins brought up a great thing that even Paul Heyman has that confidence because he know he's backed up by the one, by the island of relevancy, by Roman Reigns, the tribal chief,
Mm.
not the tribal werewolf, the tribal chief. So it brings it good to see that even I like it what Paul Heyman said, you crowding me. And the way he said it, it's just like, you crowding me. It's like, yo, bitch, get the fuck off me. But instead
Yeah.
of saying that, he said it in one word, but the tone, the body language is what spoke the action to make Drew understand that what he's saying, what he's doing. So I really love that. And sucks to say I cannot add too much context towards what Drew said when he was in the Royal Rumble. He beat Roman Reigns in 5 years ago with no crowd. I wasn't here, so I can't add too much context to the accomplishments. So I have no emotional attachments towards that time. But I
Mm.
see where Drew's coming from, and he even speaks high regards that he feels like it's hard to question because I love how Seth takes credit to make the tribal chief, to make Roman Reigns because of the betrayal that started the domino effect. But then you have Drew saying that he started the Trouble Chief era during the pandemic because of the actions that Drew has done. So it really makes it also relevant towards like who's the one that started, who's the one that peeled the tip over of the domino effect for Roman Reigns to start. Was it 10 years ago or was it 5 years ago? So I really love those type of scenarios when it comes to Drew McIntyre.
All I know is all I know is that Drew called himself the daddy of the tribal chief. So it's just like, all right,
Yes,
the
the daddy of the bloodline.
Yeah. So, but into the match proper against Sami, like this was a very physical matchup, like physical to the point where like Sami got busted open. I don't know if that was an accident or what,
Oh.
but
From what I
definitely-
could tell, it was when he dropped Drew on the back, and I think his foot of Drew hit his
Okay.
nose, or like the knee pad hit his nose, and that's how he got the cut. Which is crazy because the
Okay.
cut was on his nose, and that much blood came out, which was insane.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, not much different than what we've seen between the two. Drew pulls out the win by using the ropes for leverage, so now he's 11-0 against Sami apparently. So that's a bit of a record against somebody. But
Yeah.
after the match, Drew continues an attack on Sami. Cody comes out for the save. Kevin comes out to beat up Cody, and Drew comes in for that save. But oh no, here comes Sami with a haluva kick. Did he do it on purpose? Because Kevin's all like, "Oh, thanks a lot, buddy. Derp. Thanks for having my back. I know you got my back. I'll have your back to win the Royal Rumble so we can main event WrestleMania." Yeah, I don't buy the whole like, oh, good, Sami did this on purpose kind of thing, because like
No.
that was mainly towards Seth. So I'm just like, okay, Pat, why are we like trying to say that narrative when this is a whole different person and a whole different person that he quote unquote might be helping and all that. But yeah, how do you guys feel about like this little wrinkle of it? Because like the main thing with this, and it has something to do with like what Karen Cross said to Sami Zayn backstage, is the fact that Sami is trying to win with his heart. He's trying to be this good person, do everything by the book, but also like try to help the people that he does care about and all that. But like instead of thinking with his mind, where like if he thought with his mind, he'd be more opportunistic, he'd be able to like take a bit more chances, but also like be able to like squirrel around those chances and all that. So like how do we feel about like just this little wrinkle of it? Drop, I'm going to start with you with this one. Like what do you feel like this little wrinkle of Sami Zayn going into this weekend with the Royal Rumble?
I feel like if Sami has that mindset, it could probably lead him down to greater things, because you can't always think of your heart. It's kind of like what we do on the show when we talk about these different storylines and stuff. Our heart tells us one thing, but then we sometimes have to listen to our brain when it comes to things that make the most sense, when it comes to how stories are going at the time. And this whole story with Sami Zayn right now with Karrion Kross was to rebuild his character, because Sami's mentioned he wants to be a world champion. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. He can't keep doing the same things that he does now to get there. Like, how is this whole thing with Kevin Owens really going to benefit him? Like, it's not going to really do anything to really put Sami in the position that he needs to be in. He needs to create some sort of plan in his head, map it out accordingly, so he can get whatever destination that he wants to put himself on. So I feel like it'll definitely come into play during the Rumble, because the things that happen with Cross, they happen for a reason. They don't just do it just because. Like, it definitely does pay a toll. It definitely does establish these characters like this new evolution of their character. And I expect the exact same thing to happen with Seth Rollins, because he was behind looking at Seth Rollins too. So I expect the exact same thing to happen to him as well when it comes to this whole entire thing. Sami just needs to hit reality. He needs to really face life itself to really get to where he needs to be, and we could definitely see that in the Rumble. Like, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. I know I was talking about Drew McIntyre getting rid of Roman Reigns. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if, he takes out Drew in that Rumble. He does a lot of things that we don't expect him to do. Like, he goes all in it for himself. I'm not expecting a heel turn, because it doesn't really make any sense, but I definitely
Yeah.
expect him to have a smarter approach when it comes to him being more observant around his surroundings. And that whole thing with Kevin Owens, that's just playing into that whole story heading into Rumble. It's like, okay, I saw him quote unquote have my back this time. Let's see if something plays out during the Rumble when Cody, because I definitely expect to see like Cody and KO to put on a clinic. That's going to be a great match. But then I can definitely see KO like looking at the ramp. Where's Sami? When is he coming out? I thought he had my back. And that could also be one of those seeds that's planted for KO and Sami at Mania, where let's say hypothetically, KO could come out during Rumble. Maybe he's not a part of it, and he ruined Sami's chances there. Then you could build the whole entire thing off of that. So it's like those things are mapped out for a reason for us to get there, but I'm definitely hoping that Sami has a better mindset this time around. And again, 11-0, that is a pretty crazy feat with them. And Drew, actually, I don't see Drew play dirty all the time, but he did play dirty tonight to win that match where he put his feet on the rope. He doesn't do it all the time.
Yeah.
No. So, and that's the thing. It's like that law of diminishing returns and all that. So, like seeing Drew cheat once in a while, I don't mind. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't mind.
But what about you, Vash? How did you feel about like just this little wrinkle in Sami Zayn?
Well, the wrinkle in time, I will say, when it comes to Drew, he doesn't really cheat. When he did the rope thing, I like it because you cannot do the 11 wins against somebody, have 0 losses for Sami, be the rinse and repeat of getting every match a win. It has to be different. You got to twist the arm a bit. Like, how can you make it different than the previous? That's one.
Yeah.
And two, not to, put a nail on the head of more information about this match, but this match was brutal. I have seen like, I've experienced 5 matches, I believe, out of Drew and Sami, and from what we have seen, I've enjoyed them. I don't know which is the best one as of yet, but I really did enjoy this one. This one was brutal. This one was very strong, and I didn't expect all the blood that was coming out on the side of the ring. And when it comes to the stuff with KO and everything, I have a question to you guys, because I know I could have this question for Thursday, but what happened if KO and Cody's match happens before the men's Royal Rumble? Can KO still enter the Royal Rumble?
Realistically,
He could.
He could. But
Yeah.
you could also like there's 2 things that could happen, and it makes sense for us to talk about it because they were involved tonight.
yeah.
So we don't necessarily have to like obviously we're gonna have a big lengthy conversation on Thursday, but we could also still talk about it here because throughout those days we could be thinking about something that we want to bring up once we have more time to sit down on it. But there's 2 things that's how I'm expecting it to be, because my prediction when it comes to like the lineup based on the 4 matches that we have so far, because nothing else was announced, I expect like the women's Motor City Machine Guns DIY, Cody and KO, then the men's Rumble. It just makes sense to end off the night with that. So it could happen 2 ways. Either Kevin Owens loses the match, which I'm predicting doesn't really make sense for him to really win.
Yeah.
Would it be a cool idea? Sure, but it's not very likely. But there's like 2 things that could happen. Either after that match comes out, KO pushes himself to try to win the Rumble because he's just super frustrated because of the result. So he puts himself in the match to really get there. Or there could be an angle that plays out during the match, like I stated earlier, where he screws over Sami's chances, and that's when you start building things there. So there's 2 things that could happen. If I were to pick one, I would assume the second option is a lot safer, because I'm not sure if it's safe to put on a ladder match after that and then throw yourself in the Rumble. So
because that's the thing. It all depends on like how that match ends.
Yeah,
because you would expect, especially how what's the word I'm looking for? How savage, I guess, or how brutal this feud with Cody has been. Like you would expect something big to happen, or like some sort of big spot where it's just like, oh my God, Kevin, how could you? Or Kevin, like, are you okay? Like, legitimately, are you okay? So like, I could see that kind of being a thing, and like he can twist that because like he's in this character mindset where it's just like, okay, he's gonna twist things to kind of fit his own narrative. So it's
Mhm.
like he could twist it to be like, look, Sammy, not only could I have been world champion at the Royal Rumble if you had helped me, but if you had helped me, I wouldn't have gotten injured, you know? So like it could be one of those things. Like I know we kind of got it last year, but it could be one of those things where it's just like, Kevin gets injured in the match,
Mhm.
and he's just taken off for a bit, and then he comes back and screws Sammy out of a possible opportunity at Mania. Like
Mhm.
it could be like, oh, I'm gonna screw you out of the elimination chamber or something like that. Which again, I know we got that last year with like AJ and LA Knight,
Yeah.
but you could play upon something like that, or like maybe before the elimination chamber, Kevin just comes in and just takes out Sammy for all that, and like takes him out of the elimination chamber match. Like he can't even
Mm.
go into the chamber
Yeah.
match now.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
That's definitely
And a
possible.
quick reminder: Elimination Chamber is in Canada, Toronto as well.
Yeah. That's something I can see too,
mhm.
because it's like now that you bring that up, like you stated, like the whole thing where, well, because we've had it happen before in Rumbles. Like I was watching,
Yeah.
this isn't the same thing, but I was watching like when Becky really had her rise in 2019. Lana was taken out, and
hmm
Becky wasn't allowed to participate in that Rumble, but because of what happened with Lana, story wise, of course, she got thrown in there. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if you get like Sammy's music hits, but then he doesn't come out because you see something
Yeah.
backstage where Kevin Owens is beating on him. God forbid, Dwayne, if you take that fucking spot.
Oh my god, that'd be
God.
hilarious.
But like that's something I could definitely see. I'm kind of almost praying
Mhm.
that happens now. Now that we talk about it.
Yeah.
I love it that we
Mhm.
have speculations, and I know that in the next 2 days we will be brainstorming, and then when Thursday comes, we'll have new theories and new thoughts for it. So
Yeah.
Oh
when it
yeah.
comes to Sammy, also, man, you gotta aim better at your helluva kick. You gotta know who you targeting because that last person can move 3 seconds before you land,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they can hit the wrong person. Instead of you aiming Drew 2 times, you have hit Seth and Cody. So Sammy, you gotta get better at your apologizing as well because you were so flabbergasted that you didn't know how to respond, and you just left the ring and let Cody do the best sell I've ever seen when it comes to a helluva kick. This man was like, felt like he got the biggest concussion or a hit on the head. He was like, oh, I
Yeah.
got hit like a car. I need to go across the ring, and my head has like, oh, the bells are ringing. So he played off very well.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah. So yeah, let's just kind of move right along then, because I think we've kind of reached a good conclusion with that discussion, at least for now. So we're
Yes.
gonna move on to our final segment of the quick fire segments. These are just some quick, backstage segments that we had to kind of slowly push some stories through. So I'm just gonna name some of these, and whatever you guys want to comment on, go ahead. We had mentioned, Kaiser and Pete Dunne kind of meeting up with each other. I'm assuming this is just fallout from his match against Penta last week. And
Hmm.
Kaiser's just like, look, I'm not here to start anything. Just maybe we should kind of show everybody how things go around here and all that. So I'm assuming we're going to be getting Penta versus Kaiser soon. So there was that. Then we had like 10-minute yeet session of Jey Uso just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble," which okay. All right. Cool, dude. Neat. Excellent. American Made. All of them either confronting Lyra Valkyria for her title and American Alpha, which I thought we were done with them,
I hope
but
we are.
maybe I guess not. I was
Wait,
I was
question:
hoping.
did
Mhm.
they change their name? Because wasn't they called Alpha Academy, or did they change their name to American Alpha?
I, that might have been just me just writing American Alpha then. So
Copy, no words. I was
apologies
checking
on
in.
that
I just
part.
been thrown off. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, name change. Cool.
No,
We're
you're
good.
fine. Well, that's the thing. To my mind, American Made should be going to SmackDown, but that's neither here nor there.
Hmm.
A stare off between Rhea, Bailey, and Io. Mainly the Bailey Io stare off, which
Yes.
Drop had mentioned earlier about Io saying "See you on Saturday." And of course, Braun and Penta having a stare down as well. I thought that's going to be setting up for something really, really juicy, really tantalizing down the road. But those are our quick fire segments, guys. So whatever you guys wish to comment on that we haven't already tonight, fire away. Vash, I'm going to start with you with this.
I also would like to add on this quick fire as well that brought the information. Jake D. McDonagh has been taken to the hospital following the WWE Raw match as well. So we got that report.
Okay.
So that's a big shout out to JD McDonagh. Hopefully you're best in recovery. Hopefully we find out information tomorrow or the day after when we best we can, and hopefully you're in good health. The standout thing for me, I will leave the eel conversation to Jock because I know he's the most excited one about that. My quick comment about the Yeet, it was hilarious because me and Watkins were watching on a sidecast. We were so thrown off because we were expecting something to happen. So let's just say that nothing really happened. It was literally a Yeet concert.
Yeah.
That's literally what I told Watkins. This was literally a Yeet concert. The Yeet did 5 rounds, and the most embarrassing moment of Michael Cole in dapping history has happened. Please don't ever dap again. Even Pat McAfee's like, bro, don't even try. Just when somebody gives you a
Stay in
hand,
your lane.
just clap, just hold the grip, and I said, don't let go, and then fail 2 more times. I love how the cameraman just kept staring at him with the hand, and Pat McAfee did a flashback of WrestleMania 27 even of Michael
Oh
Cole's
God, don't even bring
dusty
that up.
as one slingshot
Yeah.
of the orange, and the way Pat McAfee flame on his co-host, he dead as flame. He drew arrows, he drew, and then he compared back to the dap that he did. He said, "You fail, you should never do good." And Michael Cole even asked him, "Yo, let's practice." And Pat was like, "Nah, bro, we ain't practicing. Just stay in your lane. Just do what you gotta do."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn, I felt that. I understand. I am not good in some stuff, and I have had friends tell me like, yo, Miguel, bro, just don't do it no more. Just don't even try. If you want to get better, let's do it off screen. Let's do it in private. Let's not embarrass yourself, myself. Let's not do this. We don't need it." So that's one of my favorite things I laugh about. I've been watching pro wrestling for many years, so just seeing Pat just throwing shade to his own friend, to his own partner, and everything was hilarious. That was one of my favorite things out of the rapid fire. And Braun and Penta, that also I like that. Braun and Penta. Penta looks really good in the fucking suit. He looks still menacing in a suit with the mask and the small face paint right here. And I love how Braun reacted towards that. So that's one of my favorite parts about the rapid fire, quick fire. It's just that it reminds me of the other segment I do for Off the Binge. My apologies,
Oh,
but
yeah.
quick fire, yes.
Yeah,
Drop.
nah, you're good.
So when it comes to the Kaiser and Pete Dunne situation, very curious to see where that's gonna go down. Like they're gonna have their own little Imperium-esque group. That would be pretty interesting if they decide to venture down that route, because we don't know when Tyler Bates coming back. And I'm also glad that Pete Dunne isn't involved with Truth, because I was kind of getting tired of seeing that every single week. So at least there's
Yeah.
some things for Pete Dunne to do in the meantime, and seeing him and Kaiser work together, and also not getting Penta involved again with LWO shenanigans is really great to see. So
Thank God.
I'm actually really I'm actually very intrigued to see where that goes. When it comes to the whole Jay Uso experience that happened, I mean, you guys already answered that. I don't really have anything to say on that. I also like how Lyra is factored in with American Made, because I was a little worried she was going to get involved to compete with the Pure Fusion Collective, because
Yeah.
that's something that always leaves a bad taste on my mouth, because I just want that group to be over and done with and just move on to other things. So at least she
Yeah.
has American Alpha she could do some things with, especially when it comes to Ivy Nile. Give her some time to shine there. I feel like that's a good starter feud for her. And of course, things could play out beyond the Royal Rumble, because I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest she gets some sort of thing going on between her and Becky Lynch in there. So this is a good segue for Lyra. And I also really like how she's on television now, instead of that little vignette we
Yeah.
got last week.
I have a question. How do you guys feel about Ivy Nile and Gable interaction, by the way? The way Gable said that she's gonna bring this IC title to me, and then she looked like, oh no, to us the group, and the way Ivy Nile reacted towards did you guys think that was like attention, or do you think of Gable still being obsessed about the IC title and him never getting it? And I do agree, Watkins, that the American men should go to SmackDown as well still,
I
because
agree
we don't know
too.
what the fuck that happened. Oh yeah, drop as well. So we're on the same page for that. But did anybody see the little type of issue between American Made with Ivy now and Gable going for said IC title?
I didn't really
Mm.
notice that, to be honest. Like that little
Yeah.
interaction.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so because I missed this segment, but the way you describe it, it just kind of sounds like how many groups are, anyways. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean, just look at Judgment Day. It's just like, oh yeah, bring Damian Priest, bring that world title back to us.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
all it is, really.
JD and Finn, bring those tag team titles back to us. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of that thing when you're in a stable, in a group, and all that.
And when it
Copy.
comes,
Okay.
so when it comes to the Rhea Bailey and EO segment that we had in the back, which is what you alluded to earlier, I was excited to talk about. This has honestly been the first time in a while that I've been very anxious when it comes to the Royal Rumble, especially when it comes to the women's side, because when it comes to the men's side, I feel like I would be satisfied with the winner. I'm hoping it's somebody different, because as much as I would love to see John Cena win here, I don't really think you give him the lottery ticket right there. You got to give him a little adversity heading into Mania, and I feel like just giving him the Rumble would be too easy, because you got to really build up to that. So I would prefer them to take their time with it. If it happens, it happens. I wouldn't be against it. But the reason why I bring this up is because EO said something that not a lot of people have said when it comes to the people that that announced that they're declaring for the Royal Rumble, because one of the biggest mistakes that you could make is saying that you're going to win the entire thing. And yeah, Punk made that mistake earlier, but I'm still pushing for Punk. But that's a common mistake a lot of people say, because you had Bianca and Naomi say it. You had, I believe, Charlotte probably said it in the Rumble.
Probably.
Her little vignette that she had.
Most likely.
It's just been a common theme. It's like, oh, I'm going to win the Rumble. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. What does EO say? I'll see you Saturday. So she didn't even utter those words. I'm going to win the Rumble and I'll meet Rhea at WrestleMania. Like, she didn't say anything like that. And I was thinking about this. I was like, what is EO's story going to be heading into WrestleMania season? Because there was reports that came out today that Dakota Kai, which we will talk about on Thursday a little bit more in depth when it comes to the injury status with certain wrestlers, when it comes to certain news revolving around WWE, we have that. So Dakota's going to be out for a bit. And then we also have Asuka not being, there is some creative being talked with her, but they don't really know when they're doing it yet. There's a possibility she could come this week. But let's say hypothetically by chance, it's just EO by herself. And going back to what I was saying, well, what is the perfect story for EO? I feel like a perfect story for EO heading into WrestleMania season is the fact that she's being overlooked. That could be the story that they could play into EO's character. She doesn't have her friends around her anymore, so she really needs to start pushing everything into gear now. And she could play in a story where she's feeling overlooked. There's all this talk about Bianca. There's all this talk about Charlotte, Tiffany, etc., so on. EO's story could be her being overlooked, saying that she should be valued, she should be put on the same level as people like that, which she is. And I'm just really hoping that she gets a good moment during the Rumble, because the whole thing I like about Rumble is that organic feel, getting that good pop, getting new faces winning the Rumble. They already sold out the place. I feel like you would get a huge reaction. And I know for sure the whole crowd is going to be behind EO, because she is the fan favorite, just like how Bailey was last year. EO is the fan favorite heading into this match, and I'm hoping that Triple H gives back to the audience. Not saying that not other people deserve it, but she did a lot throughout 2024, and I just feel like she deserves her flowers. So I just wanted to give some love for EO there, because I feel like she definitely deserves it, and she's definitely very smart when it comes to her whole mindset heading into this. and the
Mhm.
Braun and Penta stare off. I mean, that's very exciting in itself. I like that Penta is being put into situations where he's with these top players in the game. It's not just some random match
Yeah.
with someone that you never see on the roster. I like how he's being built properly, and I feel like getting a program between him and Braun is some very exciting stuff. Those are my thoughts on that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to the eventual match we get between those two. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that was all that happened on Monday Night Raw tonight. So, our quick overall final thoughts. I thought it was a very solid show. Some standout moments, but mainly that final moment, mainly that final just promo that we had, and yeah, I'm just even more excited for Saturday to come up. Like I'm ready to enjoy the Royal Rumble. I'm ready to sit down on Thursday to talk with you guys about the Royal Rumble. Got a good fun show planned for Thursday. So be sure to tune in and check that out when we go live for our Royal Rumble special. But drop. Go ahead. Let me know what your final thoughts about Raw were.
So
It's been a long day, folks. I'm sorry.
So my final thoughts for the show, I thought it was pretty solid. I would have to say that with Raw, they've been on a pretty good track record when it comes to having these good shows. SmackDown lately hasn't really been hitting it with me besides a couple things. But I thought this
Mhm.
was good. It did what it needed to do when it came to certain stories that they were telling, like we got tonight with Cody and Punk. So those are my overall thoughts right there. I thought they did a very good job with their go home show for Raw heading into the Royal Rumble.
Look,
Okay, good.
all I'm gonna say is a big shout out to JD McDonagh because if you guys have seen the time code, see the chapter, see what we discuss about, you know how much respect I have for JD McDonagh and how much hopefully he is in good health and is not anti-severe, and hopefully we find good things about it. And I agree with what the guy said. CM Punk and Cody, great promo. It was such an absolute pleasure to see it for my own eyes and get to experience how much of a babyface versus babyface could be with potential and done well
Mm.
when you're giving them the time to cook.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's going to have plenty of time to cook this week as we go into Royal Rumble and as we enter WrestleMania season. But hey, chat, ladies and gentlemen, in the comments as well. That was the show. That was everything we have to do and say. Just be sure, if you want to talk to us even more about things, all of our handles are right below me. You got at AniMa Studio, we got at Legendy Vash, we got Drop This Box, Watkins MW, and the hashtag, of course, Weebs of the Ring. Because hey, we'll be checking that, especially throughout this week, to see what all the conversations are gonna be going into the Royal Rumble. But we're going to take some time right now to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, again, all of our links are down below. Check us out on all the stuff that we do on all our social media platforms, and also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring because, again, we like to see what you guys are talking about, and we also enjoy the feedback. So that way we can continue to grow the channel, the content that we keep pushing out and keep bringing out to you guys. Because, hey, we appreciate you for everything that you do for us. Weebs of the Ring is presented by AniMa W3 Studio. Thanks again to all of our members of our production team and for all of their hard work. And of course, as always, people, just remember, keep it always in the back of your head. No stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you Thursday.
We appreciate everyone for watching. Go Netflix and chill.
Well, good night, guys.